this takes me into what Pineapple Express did. That's the part where you brought up and said, Pat, this entire time people are thinking we have to rely on somebody to do something. This is a group of civilians that are like, listen, dude, we don't care. We're not waiting on you. We're going to go out there and do this, right? You want to unpack what happened with those guys so the listeners can kind of...
Yeah, so for people that don't know, there's a bunch of ex-veterans. They're no longer active duty, or the ones that are active duty refuse to identify themselves, obviously, because they pretty much broke international treaties. And they committed an act of war by invading a sovereign country. But really, these are guys that were on, that did multiple tours in Afghanistan. These are special forces guys that got sick and tired of waiting for the government to get their allies and people who help them, people who help save their lives, translators particularly and their families, out of harm's way. So they just went in. They said, screw it. We're not waiting for clearance. I mean, this is like a 1980s like Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. This is like Predator. This is like hardcore, old school, America is the best movie stuff here. But these are real guys who went in and they saved between 500 and 1,000 people. They got them across the borders out of Afghanistan. And we'll never know who they are because obviously they're technically war criminals now. But these guys are heroes.
We know who some of them are because they talked about it.
A couple of them.
A couple of them came out and flat out they talked about it.
And Tim Kennedy apparently was very big in organizing it and
he's a stud, by the way. That guy's a freaking stud. You know, Tim is a special guy. Do you have opinions on that, or did you have any thoughts?
There's a lot going on. I think, look, anyone as an American or even as a citizen of the world should just look at this and just be like, this is a complete shit show. But what did we expect? It's almost like we don't learn any lessons. Look back in history. What the hell happened in Vietnam? America, you can get into a war very easily, but I think we've realized it's very hard to get out of a war. And it's very ugly to get out of a war. I think something that we need to recognize is what's the lesson here? We can be anti-terrorist, badass mother suckers and get in and take care of business, but we cannot build nations. We're not nation builders. We can't go into goddamn middle of the Middle East and think that they're going to come around to our way of thinking. It didn't happen in Iraq. It's definitely never happened in Iran. It's not happening in Afghanistan. Let's learn our lesson. So the next time that something happens here, God forbid a 9/11 happens, we don't rush to judgment 30 days later and declare war in Afghanistan when, like you said before, we're fighting Al-Qaeda, but Al-Qaeda was our friends in a different war, and now we're fighting the Taliban, but now we're making peace with the Taliban because they're fighting ISIS-K, who's like basically the Delta variant of ISIS. And it's like, we can't figure this out, and we never will. We don't understand that way of the world.
It's the government, though. Like, it's from the inside. I mean, obviously, you have, what was his name, Scheller. He goes online and he starts speaking out, and this guy's getting hit pretty hard internally. So obviously, it starts from the inside. Like when Pat, you talked about, like, we can't really do anything about this. This starts inside. We don't know if there's coups involved in our own freaking government. All the different branches.
When you say inside America or inside?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're telling me that they don't have, like, there's drama within our own government, clearly, with our own military. Clearly, there's different special interests. Because how in the hell does this take place?
Yeah,
this
the whole situation.
If it's even within our government.
Let me ask you this. So you just made a point about, hey, we can never solve this, and problem's always going to be here. It's always been there. It's not all this stuff that you said. Okay, fine, yes, but that's not the challenge right now. That we didn't get here because nobody agreed on leaving. The left and the right and the middle, everybody's like, we got to leave. There isn't anybody that's disagreeing on staying except for the 5 to 10% of the veterans who are actually there, who saw what happened, who have emotional affinity to the people there that want to see their lives change, and they feel like maybe we're a generation away. Right. Except from the true believers, 80 to 90% of America all agrees on, let's bring the troops back.
Agreed.
Fine, but here's a question for you. Okay, so what is the right way? You're at a club, okay? There's a shooting. You're at a club. There's a shooting. You hear a shot goes out. What's the right way to leave the club? What do you look for when you leave the club?
The nearest exit.
The nearest exit, and you leave. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you look for your friends, or do you just look, I'm just going to run? They're going to find a way to run as well.
I'd like to think I grab my friends who are around me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question here. But if you're with your buddies and they're all athletes, you're probably like, dude, you're going to find a way out, dude. Let's go, guys, fellas. Let's get the hell out of here, right?
Well, in the spur of the moment, are you thinking, where's Jim? Where's Bob?
But
Where's
now
Sally?
let me flip it on you.
No,
let me flip it on you.
Yeah.
Let me flip it on you. You're at a mall with your two kids. There's a fire. You hear a shot. What's the first thing you're thinking about?
Grab your kids.
Grab your kids, and then you leave, right? Okay, great. You're in your house. There's a fire. You got 2 cats, you got a dog, and you got 2 kids. Okay, fire breaks out. One of the propane blows up and fires everywhere. What are you doing before you leave the house?
Trying to stop the fire.
Trying to stop the fire, but you're trying to get everybody out first, right? Is it fair to say that common sense says what? We got to get the hell out, right? There is no common sense that says don't get out. So the problem isn't we got to get out. The problem is how we get out. So you have to prioritize on how you get out. By the way, here's a question for you. If you're sitting in a room, you know shit's about to go down, what's the best thing you got to do? If you know the enemy right there is about to do something crazy, what's the best way for you to react?
If you know,
sitting in a room.
Let's just say I text you. I'm like, hey, shit's about to go down. Adam, Phil, Gerard, in a text. Guys, we have 5 minutes to get out of here.
leave in 4.
I'm leaving in.
You grab your fucking weapons and make sure that you have them.
But the way you're going to leave, you're going to be like, guys, let's not overreact. Just chill out. Just like, okay. So the way we're going to do it is you're going to say, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And then Gerard's going to be like, you know what? I got to call. Let me call my girl.
Yeah.
And then gradually I'm like.
Slowly.
Yeah. So slowly you go out. You're like, okay, wait. Dude, like, that's how we left.
Because
we left like that. So the whole point isn't let's leave. We know we need to leave the damn club.
Damn right.
We know we need to leave the damn mall. How we left. So, okay, so now, Leaving Afghanistan for Dummies. Okay, let's read that book. Leaving Afghanistan for Dummies. Okay, let's somebody should publish that book.
Well,
Step number 1, you got $85 billion of equipment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Civilians got to go first.
So first of all, we need the equipment. Civilians got to go first.
There you go.
Those translators, those interpreters who help us out, got to go first. Then what goes next?
In my opinion, the troops go last.
I agree with you.
Okay, but I don't know why we put out the troops and then we're like, oh, by the way, we forgot 100,000 civilians and all our shit.
So
it's ass backwards.
But think about how much of this is just pure common flipping sense.
Because it's reaction versus response. When you react, you do what they freaking did. When you respond, that means that you're more calculated, period.
Yeah.
And they did not have, like when we were kids, like you have a fire drill.
Yeah.
Like you have certain protocols, systems, all that other crap. Where was theirs? Where was that list?
Here's the other part. If you think about this. Okay. There's a part that I don't agree with the president saying what we're about to do next too early. Here's what I think. I think it's like, listen, guys, I don't know. Probably in the next 2 to 4 years, we're going to try to leave Afghanistan.
There you go.
But you leave in 6 months. But nobody needs to know that. You don't, as a president, sit up there and
here's my card.
Hey, guys, we're leaving in the next week. Oh, shit, they're about to leave in the next week. Like, look, we're going to try to go in the next 2 to 4 years. We'll see what's going to happen, okay? And we'll see what's going to take place. But we are working on it. We have a plan. We'll see what will happen. Then you know you're about to leave in the next 30 days. There's a part of this that strategically, buddy, it just validates whoever's that's in the commander-in-chief position, president position, they have to be strategic. They have to understand the art of war.
Yes.
They have to understand power. And then the subtle maneuvering. You don't just go and say, hey, I don't know. To me, it's a bit of common sense.
You said it a while ago on a podcast, I believe, last time I was here, that the commander-in-chief needs to have some experience serving in the military because of what you just said. I mean, if he had some level of experience, of expertise, he would actually have to know the art of war, all these things that you described.
Or you know how we do it? Let's just say you don't. Okay, because we're going to go in an era where a guy's going to be a president like a Trump, Biden, Bush. Let's just say these guys. Here's how it works. You're the final vote, but you got a board of 6, 7. You're one of the votes, but you're the executive chairman. When it comes, if you've never served in the military, you're going to put generals there. Marines, Air Force, Army, everybody.
That's your National Security Council.
You put your National Security Council, and right there, the vote is 4. If 4 in that room say, boom, go. But it's not 1. Biden doesn't get a chance to vote. Neither Trump, neither any of these guys.
Yeah.
You sit there and say, boom, let's get out.
Few things that really come to mind from this thing is the way Biden's handled it really makes me feel like he's not running the show. He's a puppet. I'm not supposed to answer questions. I'm not supposed to. Who? You're the president. Who's telling you what to do?
Yeah.
If anything, you should be standing up with your chest out and saying, like, I make these decisions.
But
Yeah.
it's very obvious, and I'm not,
Right.
and that's not like I'm not trying to knock Biden on this. Now I'm like legitimately concerned. Who's calling the shots here, man? That's
Right.
number one.
Absolutely.
Number two, all right, is I think it's beyond obvious now. Like you said it before. What are we learning from this? Why we can't nation build? Adam, I don't think they ever intended to. I think that they were there to suck millions and
Keep the money
trillions
going.
of dollars and keep these incredibly high-paying jobs. Why do they not care about $8 billion worth of ordnance being left behind? Because it wasn't their money. They don't care. It didn't come out of their pocket. That stuff was already bought and paid for. And in fact, the defense contractors are like, let them have it. We got to buy new stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They don't want to win these wars. They just want to keep them going for as long as possible. This thing made them
I don't disagree.
so much
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
And the Patriot Act, right? We have the Patriot Act. We have TSA. Now they said they're trying to spin it. They're trying to spin this that we don't need to be there anymore because we hit the objective. It was Osama bin Laden was the objective. Okay. Well, then the Patriot Act was there because of bin Laden and Al Qaeda. And now you're telling us the Taliban have learned their lesson. So why do we still have to go through TSA? Why are we still doing all that BS? Or is that just, again, and now what does that mean to me? With everything we're doing today, that was the quote unquote new normal.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to go away. But now the Patriot Act is never going away.
Right.
We live in a surveillance state.
Just like taxes.
That's never going away. So learn. What do to your point, Adam, what can we learn from this? Be very careful which freedoms you give away in terms of, well, I just want to feel safe, because we're learning right now
You
that
ain't
when
getting
the
them back.
crisis is over,
Yeah.
you're not getting them back. It's
Well,
not happening.
Let me add to your point. You've used this term, the military-industrial complex.
Yep.
It's a real thing. This is disgusting to
Undeniable
see
now.
what's going on here. So something that Pat always says here that we learned, anyone who starts with Valuetainment says, treat the company's money like it's your own. Do you not say that, Pat? Treat the company's money. So if you're going to go out and get a hotel, you're going to get a car rental, you're going to get equipment, you're going to get whatever, you're going to treat it like it's your own, and you're not going to wasteful spending. Save that money. And it's just disgusting to see how much waste and fraud is going on there within government spending.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. So let's circle back to the original question. What were they supposed to do with this equipment? If they weren't, they're not, how are they getting tanks back? How are they getting bombers back? I've never been in the military, but it seems obvious. Rather than letting them have it, don't you just blow that shit up? Why wouldn't you? Explain to me why you wouldn't just, and you know the
Because
crazy.
we need an enemy to
They-
go back in
Yeah.
and create another 10 years
exact-
worth of $1
scary,
Wait a
trillion.
minute.
bro.
What you said is what Trump said.
What's
I don't know if you heard what Trump said. He said, here's a plan. First, you get the civilians out.
Yes.
Then you get the interpreters out, let's just say the allies. Then you get some of the equipment out. Then you blow every unit up. You blow it up, because if there's anything, you blow every base up that we have. Then we get the troops that come back up.
Yeah.
That was his formula on how to do it. So you were just aligned with Trump. He just
I'm
said
not.
this
I'm not
3
even
days
making
ago.
this a president. I'm aligned with Trump. I'm aligned with Biden thing. Like you said,
But
Trump
no,
never served.
But wait a minute.
here's my point.
Well, no, wait a minute. You're aligned with common sense.
Sure, great, awesome. That's a first for me, right? Bingo.
No, it's not.
Here we
It's
go.
not a first for you. If Americans actually
Yes.
looked at this bullshit,
There you
not
go.
from the standpoint of
Yes,
who was
I
president,
agree.
but
Yeah.
rather from common sense, many people would be on the same side.
if
I agree. But my point is this. Forget about Trump, forget about Biden, forget about Bush, forget about Obama, because they're all guilty and we're involved in this war. I mean, starting from Bush, Obama, it's been the generals. You're the ones calling the shots.
Yeah.
You're the ones in there saying, look, I've been in war. I've been in Afghanistan for 20 years. Here's what we need to do. Who's the loudmouth general out there talking right now? It's so easy to blame Biden, or it's so easy to blame Trump, and Trump did the deal and Biden just went through with the deal. So easy. Why aren't the generals
Well, it's hard. It's hard
stepping
for
up?
them because they went all in on the establishment to get rid of Trump. So it's hard. It's very hard for a guy like Mattis, who I'm a big fan of. It's very hard for him right now to be like, I backed the wrong horse. It's very, very difficult
But
for
my
their
point
pride.
is this: like, who cares? You're talking about American.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
but
it's
this
not
is
a presidential
also,
thing.
But this is also, when you say that who cares stuff, again, like this is, because it's in this moment you've been so vilified in this divisive political environment. Like, this is what I'm saying when I talk about I don't want taxes. Taxes are theft, and then people are like, I don't mind paying my fair share if it means that a kid can read and education gets better and there's no child that goes hungry.
Is that how they walk when they're talking?
Yeah, with their Warby Parkers. I like people. I'm a good person.
Easy at Warby Parker,
not,
bro.
No, it's not. This is what your tax money goes to. Your tax money doesn't go to kids getting books in schools.
Yeah.
Your tax money goes to this. So until these people tell you and show you that they can use the hours of your life, we've discussed this. Taxes aren't just money. Money represents the hours of your life. That is 8 billion hours of American lives left behind for the enemy to play around with and hang people from Apache freaking helicopters. That's subsidized by you and me, guys. That right there, high five, guys. We sponsored that.
And we're not going to talk about this. Like, my question is, how long are we going to continually talk about this to drive that point home to the general public? Because there's a lot of people in this world that don't pay attention to politics in this way. They don't pay attention to military in this way. This type of news needs to be continuously over and over. And there's a lesson to be learned in this. And we're all discussing it right here. But until that becomes like the norm, we're going to do this shit again.
The other lesson we learned, and I know we're going to talk about this. I know we're going to talk about this, but the other lesson we learned is every time they tell you that you can't take on the government, like all these Second Amendment guys, we got F-16s. Yeah?
Yeah, right. They got everything.
I'm laughing in Farsi. I laugh in North Vietnam.
Yeah.
You're telling me that I'll give up my guns because why? Because Eric Swalwell, you don't have nukes? Yeah? What do the Taliban have? Don't ever forget your Second Amendment.
You know, they said the Taliban officially moved up 161 spots in the strongest military in the world.
From our stuff?
From our stuff, 161 spots in the strongest military in the world. So that means they're like in the top 50 right now.
Can I
think about that?
The Taliban.
Crazy.
The Taliban's military, after what they just took, is in the top 50 militaries in the world right now.
What is their ties? And I'm just going off here. Like, what are their ties with the Communist Party of China? Do they have any ties with them?
Well, they have ties with Pakistan, and then Pakistan has ties with China.
I'm just thinking in regards to like technology and stuff like that.
It's a good thought because this is all a proxy.
Because because I'm thinking, well, like, okay, like
who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for? Everybody's got to be responsible for something. Last night you and I had a conversation together, right? We had a little bit of a hiccup, and we're talking to each other, and you're like, yeah, you know what?
How my hair got too high, by the way. Yeah, it's a funny story behind that.
I like the hair. So we're talking, and we're saying, hey, so. But the point is, who gets the responsibility on this, Adam? Who gets the responsibility on this?
Are you looking for a figurehead?
Well, listen, I mean, everything rises and falls on leadership. Who's responsible for this?
Look, if you want to go the easy, clear answer, Biden, and he even went out and said, look, this is on me. He said this.
What should be the repercussions?
Well, the voters will determine that. Well,
but we can't wait that long.
But what I'm asking you is,
he's not getting impeached. It's not like none of that.
Okay.
It's not happening.
So let me ask you a question. Let's just say we go there. Because, Republicans are like, let's impeach the guy. Okay, fine. Right. But let's just, but what you're saying, but the liberals wanted to impeach Trump twice and they celebrate the first time in the history a president got impeached twice and it's on their resume, right? Okay. And then they're saying, let's resign him. And then they're saying court-martial, right? Mm-hmm. How should he be held accountable to this? I'm actually curious, right? Like Nixon resigned over what? Watergate, which was what? Today, Watergate is like a step number 3. It's like Watergate is nothing today, done by both sides. Watergate is very...
Obama literally did it and got nothing happened to him.
No question about it. Yeah. So did Hillary. It's a very simple model. But how should he be held accountable? Not just voting. How should he be held accountable today? Because in a corporate world, if I run a corporation and I accidentally cost the corporation $85 billion, you know what happens to a guy like me? I mean, it's like the board is going to sit down and say, Steve Jobs, we kind of love you, but dude, you are fired. And we're going to bring in a Scully and we're going to bring you back 7 years later if you earned the right. But what should happen to this guy today? Why should free enterprise have more pressure of their job being fired in the moment, but government employees, they can just sit there and say, dude, no one's going to fire me? What should happen today?
Well, that's the problem. That is the very essence of the issue with authoritarian regimes, communism, socialism, however you want to call it. There is no accountability in government. We talked about it before. It's not your money. It's somebody else's money. And if you blow it, You know, on a micro scale, we talked about Bill de Blasio's wife. Bill de Blasio's wife made $1 billion of taxpayer money disappear. There wasn't an investigation. There wasn't criminal charges. She got promoted. She is now handling the dissemination of the funds. So what should be done?
What do you do with this?
Well,
by the way, there's two people that look very good right now. There's two people that look very good right now. One of them you know. The other one is Jimmy Carter. Okay?
how?
How does Jimmy Carter look good right now?
Yes.
Who did better, him or Biden? Biden is making Carter look good.
Oh, man.
Biden is making Carter. Carter's sitting there saying, at least I'll be able to say I'm not the worst of all time.
George Bush and Dick Cheney are skating by on this, and they look. Biden's bad, but Bush and Cheney need to have the spotlight shine on them. Cheney especially because he's back this time around in this camp. You know,
And Donald Rumsfeld, your boy.
I hate him. Horrible human being, and
Great movie,
embarrassment
by the
to Rumsfeld.
No, Vice was a great movie.
Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah.
You did not see Vice?
I didn't see it.
You're kidding me.
Nah. Why? What? Like, I mean, Hollywood doesn't like a Republican.
It's
That's
fake.
a cool
I
story.
think to answer your question, genuinely, I think it's
Here
a
we
little
go.
too early.
Folks, listen, folks. Everybody
go,
listen.
everybody.
Adam's going to give his...
I think it's a little too early to
Uh-huh.
just start dishing out blame. Yes, this is going not according to plan. Correct. Okay, cool. I don't think anybody likes to see what's going on here. But let's see what the long-term ramifications of this. The bottom line is this. Americans overwhelmingly did not want to be in Afghanistan. Let's not just like gloss over that. For years and
We've
years...
already addressed that.
Okay, but
Yeah.
for years and years,
We
we
agree.
paid zero attention to this. For years and years, our military or our government was lying, basically saying, everything's fine. Don't worry about Afghanistan. We
Yeah.
got it all under control. Turns out they were lying the entire time. Turns out we could not control 75,000 Taliban fighters. Turns out 75,000 people fighting for their homeland, fighting for infidels, is a lot more powerful than any amount of army that's getting paid to play.
Well, you don't have to win. You just have to stalemate. It's how we beat
Exactly.
the British
Okay.
to get this country.
But stalemate for how long? 20
Forever.
years?
Forever,
50 years?
forever,
100
forever.
years?
Just gotta
1,000
outlast
years?
them. God.
I think the bottom line is I think we have way too many internal issues in America to be worried about Afghanistan. It sucks what's going on short term right now, but with everything that's going on in America, you name the list of issues: debt, obviously our tax system, healthcare, homelessness. The list
add
goes on
another
and on
90
and
billion
on.
to that debt.
Yeah,
Let me-
now we're worried about the Afghani people. With all due respect, we've got enough
By the way,
issues
this
at
is,
home.
No. But this has got nothing to do with Afghani people.
Well,
What does this have to do with Afghani people? What part of this issue is Afghani people?
what part of
Yeah,
the,
what part of this is Afghani people?
you mean the-
You're saying,
Yeah.
you're saying, let's forget. We have so many issues here. Let's forget about that. The people in Afghanistan, but let's address our issues. Nobody disagrees. But is this an Afghani people issue?
No, this is an American government spending and focus issue.
This
Right.
is a strategic issue. Okay, if you hire a C-suite executive, because you're expecting this person to be competent in what areas? In
Whatever their specific
whatever they
expertise
specialize
is, yes.
in, right? Okay, if I'm a CMO, my job is to do a great job in what?
Just like you're a general in the army, I expect to be competent at leading an army.
Exactly. What level of competency did you see in this move that took place 2 weeks ago?
That's the question that we all have: is who's the one
but
actually?
what I'm saying to you is you're saying we already have so many problems. This could have been prevented if the level of competency was done in a different way. This is not an issue that we disagree in. This is an issue of competency. This is an issue of common sense. This is an issue of basic strategy for a person that in 113 billion people have been born from day one till today. You see that statistic of how many people have lived. There's only been 46 positions for U.S. presidents. He's one of them. Don't you think there needs to be a little bit more competency when it comes down to issues like this? That's the only thing I'm questioning. We talked last night, crazy. I asked Gerard last night, if you're comfortable answering this, you can say it on camera. I asked Gerard, would you rather have Hillary Clinton as a president or Joe Biden? What'd you say?
Hillary Clinton.
How long did it take for his answer? What did you say?
Hillary.
Okay, now here's a question. Would you rather have Trump as president today or Biden?
On this particular issue or every issue in America?
Right now.
Just
Overall.
take overall competency, decision-making process. Would you rather have Biden or would you have Trump?
On this particular issue, obviously Biden is failing. There's other things that I think Biden
Okay.
is doing better than Trump.
Such
I don't
as-
think it's a binary option.
But I think it is, though. because I think it's competency. Like I honestly think, as much as there is nowhere that I'm going to one day have a Hillary Clinton autograph in my office. I don't seek for that. But I honestly
maybe a Bill Clinton autograph.
But you know, I don't mind a bill.
Honest
but I
to
will.
God.
You literally have
But
that.
I will tell you something. I've never.
No, I know you. You showed it to us.
I don't. This is not, guys. This has got nothing. This has got to do to me. Who's a bigger badass, Hillary or Biden?
Hillary.
Not Biden. Biden wasn't elected to be a badass.
That's not.
That's the
that's
problem.
The problem.
That's the
is
problem,
fact that
dude.
This is a competency issue and a leadership issue, folks. If you're watching this right now, you have two choices. You have Trump. I'm sorry. You have Biden or Hillary. Who do you pick? And by the way, this is like an interesting crowd, right? Who do you pick? You have a Biden or Trump issue. Who do you pick? This is a leadership issue. This is not about who won or who didn't win. The world hated Trump because Trump was pushing everyone's buttons. He was the obnoxious guy that's going out and calling you out. Hey, you got a big belly. Hell, your nose is big. Hey, you got a big pimple on your forehead. That's Trump. Is that fair to say that's his style? He's going to go and call everybody out and just get under everyone's skin.
Well, he also turned the free money spigot off, which is why they really got rid of him.
And then he put all the sanctions on everybody. He decided, like he said, you know what? I'm going to go from a person everybody wants to be like me. A kid grows up wants to be like Donald Trump. Rappers want to be like Donald Trump. I'm going to go to be the most hated person in the world by pushing everyone's buttons. He just woke up one day saying, I'm going to push your button, China, Mexico, Canada, everybody. And he had the formula down. But when it comes down to situations like this, because your top position, presidency, out of everything you and I need to do in the job, okay, maybe let me ask this back and we'll change topic because we've got other things to get into. Here's a question for you. Tell me the number one quality of a great comedian. Not top 5, the number one. You guys are in that world. I have no idea.
I think it's charisma. They got to connect.
Is it timing? Is it charisma?
You can learn timing. I think it's charisma. You
What do you
can't
think?
fake it. You
I
have
don't
to be
know.
able to connect with
What
it.
do you say?
Timing and charisma.
You
for
put
sure.
timing first or charisma? Give me one of them. I just want one.
Reading the room.
I'd say charisma.
Okay, charisma, what do you say?
Charisma for sure.
Okay, fine, fair.
But there's people without charisma
What's the
that can
number one
succeed.
quality of a person that could win Mr. Olympia, Not be competing for Mr. Olympia, but win Mr. Olympia? I think I know the answer, but I'm curious what you say.
You definitely have to own the crowd.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have the physique, that you have to have the physique.
Okay, so that's number one.
Yes.
You have to have genetics.
You have to have the genetics.
Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't have it, it doesn't matter. Like
No,
Chad Nichols said, I can take everything. I'm never going to win Mr. Olympia.
Correct.
You got to have a gift. Some may say.
Yeah.
Like a 7-time
right.
Mr. Olympia.
Right.
Okay, let's continue. What is number one, not top 5, what is a number one quality for you to have a girl go from being a girlfriend to a wife? Number one, not top 5. Maybe a bad question for you right now.
I think every woman says they want to have a good communicator, someone who listens.
Okay, so someone who wants fair.
Stability, would that be?
Security, stability,
Security.
fair. Let's
Gerard's
continue.
working on stability. He's getting stable. He's moved into his new spot. I'm proud of you.
What's the number one rule of becoming a millionaire? Number one.
Save that goddamn money.
Okay, so let's just say save the money, right? What is the number one duty of being a president? Not top 5, not top 10, number one.
Protect your people.
Secure your borders.
Boom, you got it. So what I'm trying to tell you is everything that happens this year, nothing is above securing your people. That's number one, and he's not doing it, and Trump did. Okay? There's presidents that did. He did not do that. And that's what you get held accountable for. That's accountability. That is the only thing I'm asking for, because you have to be competent. Last night, I hear shit in the backyard. Who has to get up and grab the gun and go walk around?
Damn right.
I have to do it.
Yep.
I'm the guy that's the security of the house. I don't say, well, let me send my 79-year-old dad to go see it.
Jimbo.
Yeah. Let me go see what's going on. Okay, and then there's a big-ass possum on steroids sitting outside, like massive benching 3 plates. I'm like, freaking this guy could
up,
compete
bro?
for Possum
What's
Mr.
up,
Olympia.
PBD?
Yeah. So he's in the backyard, and
Where
I'm
them
like,
snacks,
okay,
man?
but the point is, competency, security. A husband, a man provides security, competency for the family. A president has to give us confidence that if somebody comes and invades us or does something to us, that person's going to put the freaking a level of fear in the other person to say, dude, I'm pulling out. I'm kicking back. Listen, I got you. I'm
Damn
going
right.
to give you shit back to
It
you.
sounds like you agree with Joe Bonanno's book a little bit. We need a head of a family. Is that the idea?
Joe Bonanno?
agree
You
with
going
Joe-
back to Mafia?
You got-
You're watching way too much Mafia
Something
interviews.
like, no, stop. Joe Bonanno made the same argument. We just need one guy who takes care of everybody. It's like a father, maybe you'd say, a boss.
I don't think it's just one guy. I just think, like, to me, when you think about somebody where you're going to say, okay, like right now you look at candidates as an ex-president, you got to think about somebody that's going to be protecting the nation. You have to think about somebody that's going to protect the nation.
I think
And
that,
make other people think twice when they want to screw with America. I mean,
Well,
that's
I think more than anything else, guys, we as citizens have to look at this and say this central planning can never work, because this is what's always going to happen. This idea that some government, some altruistic government is going to come and they're going to take care of everything. They can't figure anything out. All it takes is one batch of Peter principle and ruins the entire empire, man. Get rid of imperialism because it's impossible and it's not profitable except for a very few people at the top. Capitalism is the way, not imperialism. And also, guys, the centralized stuff, and now they're going to pivot to climate change. They're pivoting to the climate crisis. They're making these
Canada,
pivots.
talk about what happened in Canada.
Oh, it's all over. It's Australia, New Zealand, Canada, where Trudeau came out and said we're going to apply the lessons learned from this war on COVID in the war against the climate crisis and all of our environmental crisis and inequity and social justice. And I was like, wait, whoa. The lessons learned. Like in New York right now today, you know, I love talking about my favorite home, Soviet bloc, New York City, right? The great Yugo, New York. You have to show your papers. You have to show your papers. You have to show your
where's your papers?
Where's
Show your
your
papers.
papers, or you cannot get into the bodega today. Yeah, it's you can't eat groceries without showing. Now here's what's asinine about this: if you have a COVID vaccine, you can still be positive, COVID positive, and go eat at a restaurant, but it's okay. You've got your ouchie, so no big deal. But if you test negative, all right, like Cole Beasley, if you test negative and you've been exposed to somebody, all right, who didn't test but they complied, it's okay. They can feed their children.
Did you see the article I sent yesterday? I don't even know if we want to get into this.
Yeah,
but
the
article,
PhDs.
oh my
Yes,
gosh.
let's move
They're the
on.
smart
Let's
ones.
move on. Let's move on.
Adam is saying, let's move
on.
You know what? We should
I care more about the channel than anyone here's opinions. You know what? Fuck it. Let's get the channel taken down. Let's do it. Who needs the channel at this point? Fuck it. Let's get crazy. Let's just go
But let me ask you
complete
this.
anti-vax.
But let me ask you this. It was a great article. If anybody wants to get this article, send me a tweet at Patrick Bet-David. Maybe later on today, I'll share the article with you. It's a very interesting article sent to us by one of our good friends here. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.